Hello and welcome back to the Be Elite podcast, where we delve into deep discussions, explore uncharted realms, and occasionally wander off the beaten path. I'm your host, Ben Allgaier, here to guide us through the untapped territories of thought and innovation, unpacking what it means to be elite. Our guest today is James Kolde, an exceptionally versatile individual. James has an impressive resume that spans from tackling fires in locations as diverse as his home state of Minnesota to far-flung places like Iraq, Afghanistan, and Wake Island. His entrepreneurial spirit led him to co-found Minnesota Home Guys in 2017, a company that has completed over 1,000 deals in Minnesota and Florida. James is not just a real estate titan. He also coaches and mentors aspiring individuals in the real estate industry. Central to James's remarkable journey is his family. He celebrates a 25-year-long marriage and takes pride in his daughter, who mirrors his drive and tenacity in the military and real estate sectors. James, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ben. Nice
You're
to be
welcome.
here. Did
I get that all right?
Dude, I that was freaking awesome. I'm gonna do that as my roll up.
We can turn it into a soundbite and we put some music behind it. Play it for you.
That was I couldn't even said it better.
Well, ChatGPT does some wonders. When you give me a little bit to work with, I can make it go a long way.
That's awesome. Nice job.
Well, cool. All right. So typically we start off with our pivot point segment. So our pivot point segment is basically like we talk about a time in the lives of all successful people and where they kind of change the trajectory of their path. So you transition from firefighter to entrepreneur. That's quite the leap. You want to talk to me a little bit about that transition? What kind of sparked the drive? And then how did you land on real estate?
I think there's a book there, to be honest with you. I mean, okay. How does somebody come from a firefighter to where I'm at now? It's don't give up. I'm really hard on myself, Ben. I'm probably the hardest person on myself, and I like to call myself, maybe not the brightest bulb on the tree sometimes, but I realize I probably am. And good people that I've been hanging out with, my business partner, my wife, they're always encouraging me. I'm like, okay, they basically tell me to get my head out of my ass, and you're doing a good job, right? I don't see that. I have to sometimes stop and have to smell the roses, and they have to tell me and remind me. It kind of got started really. Jaden, I always saw him walking around my neighborhood, and I worked 10 days a month, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, you want to go do lunch? So we started doing lunch, and then all of a sudden he's like, hey, I can job soup some of your houses you got. I work 10 days a month again. I need to do something. Like, all right. So I job soup a couple of his deals, and then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? Let's go into business together. And I'm not kidding, Ben. We went down to the local bar and we wrote on a napkin a business plan.
That's fantastic.
And to this day, we still wish we had that actual napkin, because how cool would that be to have it hanging behind us?
That's got to be the most Minnesota thing I've ever heard. We go down to a bar, we got football playing in the background, and we write down a business plan on a napkin.
Yep. And Jaden, he's owned businesses before. He's been in real estate before. I have no idea what real estate was. I knew construction, and I knew how to deal with contractors. So, boom, I was the best guy he ever hired to start doing some of his projects. And again, okay, so we're back down to the at the bar, and we said we're going to do 30 deals, Ben, in the year. We did that in 3 months.
Goodness, great.
And then we said, boom, I'm out of here. I literally quit my job, everything. It was faith, man. You ever heard of I can't even remember the guy's name, but you ever heard of the slogan, like, burn the boats?
Yeah, we talk about that a lot on this show. And we talk about, do you burn the boats or do you not burn the boats?
I burnt the boats, dude. I burnt the boats. In the fire industry, you have certifications that you have to keep up. And during that time, it was still one of the most prominent jobs to get. is to be a firefighter, because you're
Okay.
still coming off of 9/11. They're still coming off
Yep.
of all this other stuff. And I knew that if I gave it up, I walked away and I would go 6 months. There's no way I would ever be able to go back.
Yeah.
So I literally said, okay, that's it. And at that time, I'm what, 41, 42. I'm aging myself out a little bit of the fire service. I'm not a young whippersnapper anymore. And it just felt right. My father-in-law was like, what the hell are you doing? You guys are both quitting your jobs, because you guys got to realize my wife came along too. She was our first.
Did she
hire.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She was our first hire. So now we're both burning the boats, everything that we know. If we fail at this, what do we do?
Did you have a backup plan? Like,
No.
Did you have
Ben, this is the very first time in my whole life. I have this philosophy I've always taught with my daughter, is you always have a backup plan, and you have a backup plan to your backup plan.
Okay.
I didn't have.
And you just did the opposite of that.
I did the 100%. I did the absolute opposite. You're absolutely correct. I did.
So this is a story we don't tell your daughter. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, it was the one thing that I went against the grain, and I guess I had faith. I had faith because I knew we had this many deals in our hopper. I knew what kind of income that was going to produce. Now, what I didn't realize is most of that money was going to go right back into the company. You know, we didn't really start collecting a check until 3-4 years later. But we started small and we got big. You know, now we're doing anywhere from 150 to 200 deals a year.
Man, you're like one of the biggest players in all of Investor Fuel, our mastermind. Like, Todd and I had this conversation the other day. We're like, James is probably the most, well, number one, he's the most humble human being in the entire group, but he does more volume than anybody else in that group. And it's insane how much, I mean, it's been what, 7 years, and you've built this entire operation in 7 years doing hundreds of deals a year.
And truly, we think that we should have been at 5-year mark is what we do. And this is the way our brains think. Jaden and I is like, hey, you know, we should have been successful sooner. Well, did we know COVID was going to happen?
No.
You know, you had no idea of any of that stuff. So it's like, you know, like you said, having faith. We just believed in it. I would not have done any of this. My whole philosophy that I learned when I was 18, 19, I think I told my dad I wanted to go into business with myself. He goes, you know what? He drove me over to a lady, because he was self-employed. And he drove me over to a lady who had a bigger business. And she asked this lady anything. And, you know, the biggest thing she told me is, if you don't know something, pay somebody who does, and don't get stuck on that, and continue to move forward.
I love that.
Too many people in this business, they want to do their books. They want to do underwriting. They want to do everything. But you can do that if you're going to stay super small. But if you want to grow, you have to delegate, and you have to trust it. It's not micromanaging, Ben. It's just physically. So what I would do is I was in every position of the company. So I started off on, answering the phones, acquisitions. I did everything. And as soon as I needed another person to physically answer phones, I trained that person in. And I said, hey, I'm about 70% there. You need to continue running with this and learn more, because I'm doing 10 things and I'm at 70% on each of them. Mm-hmm. I need to be at 100%. Right. Yeah. So then I move over to dispositions. I start doing that, and I get it rolling. And then we hire somebody to do dispositions. Sales manager. I mean, at every little spot in there. I'll be honest with you, Ben, I burnt myself out.
Did you? How long ago was that?
I burnt myself out about a year ago.
Okay.
I had to let go. And so now we have Luke running the company. Luke is actually he's actually part owner.
Okay.
We can get into that if we wanted to.
Yeah. I mean,
how that works out, but we need to get somebody in there that had ownership of the business, that didn't want to just get in there, learn it, and then go build up their own stuff, right? Because that's our biggest fear in this business, right? Is teaching somebody else how to do this.
And they don't do it right.
Well, they don't do it right, or they take off and go do it themselves.
True.
Right? True. So you don't want to all of a sudden, then learn on that. So you give him an ownership of the business, he's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So he hits certain levels on the way up, and he hit his numbers, and he's vested. So it's actually 18% he owns. I own 32, and Jaden, I'm sorry, I throw him 31, and Jaden owns 51.
See, that's how much this guy does that he doesn't even know how much he owns in his own business, right?
Well, I love it. So we're now in the process, Ben, of licensing in our business.
Okay.
So the way we look at it as, would you rather try to figure all this stuff out yourself, or could you buy a business in a box? So what we've done is now we got Home Guys, and we just signed up our very first licensing Knoxville Home Guys. So they keep the name, and that was planned by design from the start.
Okay.
Right? I mean, from day one, that's why we came up with the name, because we went to Florida and we were Florida Home Guys. And we don't do as much work there anymore because we're really concentrated on Minnesota. And then Jaden had a twin. Oh, he still has a twin. Don't want to kill him off.
He used to have a twin.
He started Wisconsin Home Guys. So we knew this concept worked.
Yeah. It's a great name.
What's that?
It's a great name.
Yeah, right. So we figured, so now like you go into Dallas, you can have Dallas Home Guys. You can have Austin Home Guys. You can have San Antonio Home Guys. You just play it off, because what do you think everybody does? Everybody wants to, they're so proud of their state, right?
For sure.
I got a tattoo that's Minnesota on my calf. People
have,
yeah, right. I mean, it's just, and that's what we're the home guys. We're going to come out there. We're the local people, and that's what people want.
Well, it sounds like that's what sets you apart from other of those big franchises. Like, I mean, Homefesters is the first one that pops in mind. I can't tell you how many people that we see on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, whenever we're talking through appointments, that say, you know what, I don't want to sell my house to Homefesters. I don't want to sell my house to We Buy Ugly Houses. Like, and you've kind of taken that idea and turned it into the local thing that makes it feel local.
Exactly. That's what we want. I love these guys that are doing this wholesaling virtual, and I think it's great. But I don't know. There's going to be regulated. We're going to come down, and it's going to come down hard. And if people aren't doing it the right way from the start, they're going to get in trouble, and they're not really going to have a business. I agree.
Opinion. Well, man, like us being in the same business, we know that, especially in the Midwest, going and shaking hands with people gets you so much further than a phone call. There's people that try to come into the Kansas City market all the time, and we're like, all right, well, good luck, because we know they're virtually doing this. We know that we're going to beat them every time in the living room, because it's just a shake hands kind of area. Like, you may be able to do that on the coast with the virtual stuff, but I mean, I don't know specifically about you, but I know that in our city and our towns that we work in, you're getting deals if you're shaking hands with people.
Absolutely. Yep. The only time we ever do anything virtual is on the northern part of the cities, and they pretty much, they still want to work with us because they know that we're in Minnesota.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
You're
still the home guys.
Yeah, right. Here's something really funny is when I was down in Florida, I also learned something different. Is when you're dealing with an East Coaster, New Yorker, you almost have to get in a pissing fight with them.
Do you really?
Yeah, you almost have to call them out, call them a dumbass, do something for them to get your respect. Well, you can't do that in the Midwest.
No.
If you do that in the Midwest,
the phone hung up.
Right. So I had to figure it out the hard way, because I was going on these calls. And then here's another tip: if you're down in Florida, never just guess somebody's from Jersey or New York. You just say you're upper East Coast. Let them tell you, because if you pick Jersey and they're from New York or vice versa, you're gonna get it.
All hell's broken loose.
You're gonna
That's the end of that.
Right.
You lost that deal. That's awesome. Well, cool, man. You stand out to me as kind of one of those guys that kind of finds excitement and joy in doing some difficult things. I mean, fighting fires in overseas, wherever the hell you've been, and just jumping into running a business like this, cold turkey, burning the ships. So embracing the suck would be like one of those mantras that I would put on James. And we see this every day in our get rich quick culture of like how to make $1 million from your couch, and all these people have just this terrible lack of work ethic that we see that's kind of like endemic to our society now. Explain to me kind of like your mindset that you've built to propel you to action, to get you to go after those things that are hard. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but for those people that are thinking about doing these kind of things, that are thinking about potentially leaving their job or going and doing anything difficult, starting a business, like, how do you flip that switch to finally go, all right, let's go? And I mean, you burn the boats, but
you gotta have faith. You got to have faith in yourself. But I will tell you, there's a lot of these big guys. I love these big guys. I love, the Pace Mobies, the Grant ones, these guys. But sometimes I believe they're selling false hope. And
explain that.
They're selling stuff that they're thinking is super easy. You don't need any money to get involved with, but they need 10 grand to get into their program.
Yep.
But you still have to do the work.
True.
And so I think the people think that, hey, I'm going to pay 10 grand. Well, all these other deals are going to start rolling in because that's what I see on the Facebook,
Yep.
That's what I see that this guy's posting, but they don't. There's a lot of lows in this, Ben. You know as well as I do. You take hits, you take losses. Are you prepared to take a $10,000-$20,000 hit because you messed up on a rehab?
Yeah,
you messed up.
Yeah, or you sell a house and you don't make all the funds back to pay your investor back. Are you going to find a way to pay that investor back?
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So, in 2020 to 2022, you had to be a complete moron to not make money flipping houses.
It's true.
I mean, how many times did you see something, somebody bought something, and you're like, oh, shit, I don't know why they're buying that, whatever.
There's no way.
Then they made money on it because everything continued to go up.
Yeah. Yep. And we're stuck on one right now that we're going to have to come to the table with 60 grand. We bought it back in right when the market was tapering off. And we just have pushed it off and pushed it off and pushed it off. And now, like the payments, we're hitting the rubber to the road. And we know that our timeline for getting rid of this thing is so short now that we've got to get rid of it. And we finally have to face up to this. We're going to take a $60,000 hit. I mean, in the beginning of my business, if you would have said you got to take a $60,000 hit, I'd been like, okay, I'm going to go find something else to do because there's no way I'm making it past that.
Right.
And there's
so back to your original question again.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
That there's too many people in this business that think that they can do it, and I don't think I could have done this by myself. They I think Pace talks about squatting up. I don't know. I kind of see the lingo out there, and which I think is cool. But I'm sorry, you still got two 20-year-olds trying to get a house. You might need to squat up with somebody a little bit older. It doesn't mean you don't have the hustle. It just means you have to work a little bit harder. Yep. You're almost 30. You've experienced life a lot more than somebody who's 20. Think about when you were 20 to where you're at now.
Jeez.
The difference.
I was trying to be a doctor back then. I thought that was my path.
How's that going for you?
Oh, it's great. I did a procedure right before we hopped on.
So I that's my only fear. My biggest other fear is like when I run across a wholesaler or something. This is for the local people. I tell them to go get their license.
Yeah.
Always go get your license. Well, why? Well, these big guys say I don't need my license. Yeah, but I almost guarantee most of those big guys have their license. They're just not telling you that. They want you to buy this program for $10,000 and you don't need anything. But in reality, that's surely going to help you. I told wholesalers, I will sell against you all day long with me having my license. And just because I have my license, I'm going to get that deal.
Explain that. How are you getting that deal? Because you have a license.
There's integrity. You still have to have, when you have your license, you're governed by the state, right?
Yep.
So if you're not governed by the state, you can do whatever you want. You can tell Mr. Homeowner whatever you want. Why would you want that, Mr. Homeowner, when somebody can come and tell you everything you want? I have to tell you exactly the facts.
You're a fiduciary.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I go, when you got a house, how many times you go into a house, Ben, where it's $400,000 or $500,000 and they called you, like, there's no way they're going to sell this to me. There's no way. I mean, you just know right away. They're out there kind of looky-loos. But you just built a great rapport with them.
For sure.
And now all of a sudden, you sell that house. So I'm just going to do some quick math here. So it's let's just say it's a $500,000 house times 3.5% is what we get. That's still $17,000.
Yeah. And you were trying to buy cash.
That, Mr. Wholesaler, go get your license.
Yep. It just opens up so many more opportunities.
And then it makes us look that much better because what I'll do, Ben, is I'll give anybody crap that's in our business that's not doing our business right. Because it makes us look bad, right? Because we're doing it the right way.
Yep.
And so now we have to go out everywhere we go. We have to justify, hey, just want to let you know, proof of funds. I got all that. I'm really going to buy your house. I'm not just going to say I'm going to, I'm wholesaling your house. And that's what we do at home, guys. We're transparent on everything. For wholesaling a house, we're wholesaling a house.
It's so hard with all those programs that are out there. They're just teaching people how to like go say these things in this order to people and you'll get a deal. And they don't care about the integrity of it. Like we've started to have to, when we're locking up a house, we've started to have to go in and say, okay, well, here's the thing. To show you that we're a real buyer, we're going to front you 15 grand of the proceeds you're going to get on the house. And that was something we never would have had to do 2-3 years ago. But the market's got flooded with a lot of these small timers that they're lying to homeowners. They're telling them things that aren't true. And people like you and me, like we have these brands that we have to protect, especially you. You've got now a nationwide brand. You got to protect that brand. So you have to go in and you have to say these things to people in an honest and trustworthy way to get them to, one, not only trust you, but you don't want to get litigated because they come back on you for doing some shady thing that XYZ wholesaler has no problem doing, because who cares? He'll just kill that brand and go start another one.
Right. And that's not where we're about, right?
No.
So I say with this thing that with everybody, you do the right thing, the money will follow.
I like that.
Always do the right thing, the money will follow. Twice down in Florida and down in Minnesota. So our first year in business, I walked into a house. It was November. It was 30 degrees in the house. Oh. Boom, picked up my phone and called my wife. It's like, hey, here's the address. Pay whatever we need to do to get the gas on, electric on. I don't care whatever it is. We're doing it because you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We did the exact same thing down in Florida. We walked in. It was hot out. They need the AC. Call up, and I say my wife because she does everything behind the scenes.
Yeah.
She's freaking awesome. You'll meet her. Well, she's been to the last meeting, and then she'll be at the.
I wasn't at the last one.
Oh, you weren't at the last one, were you? Scottsdale.
Yeah. I'll be in Scottsdale though. Yeah, cool.
Do the right thing. Money will follow.
Yeah, I like
and
that.
It's huge.
Well, I was going to ask you later on. Like I was gonna sort of. I have always an outline of what I want to talk about, but we always move in a different route.
No problem.
So when you're talking about these big gurus that are selling these coaching programs, I know that you do coaching, you do mentoring. What's different about what you offer than what these other big guys do?
That's a good question. I don't want to do these like group coaching.
Yeah.
I want to do more. I want to keep it real. I want to keep it just honestly, unless they're buying I say franchise. I don't like to say franchise. It's a licensing agreement. It's a difference between franchise and licensing. Franchise, you have to worry about a lot more shit. Okay. Let's put it that way. Licensing makes it a lot easier.
We'll cut it out that you said franchise in.
Yeah. There you go. So what were we asking now? I just lost my train of thought.
You're coaching and you're mentoring.
A lot of people go, hey, I make them give it down. I don't want to talk money on here just because
that's fine.
Things can kind of change. But a lot of people are like, hey, pay me this, I'll get you your one deal. I say, pay me this to get you started, and then you go up to 5 deals. Everyone's like, hey, I want to get you that first deal. Well, what happens if they roll out and they get their first deal and it was super easy?
Yeah. I know. I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. They're going to go buy a car, and they're not going to do another deal.
Right. So I told them my program is the way it's set up is, hey, you're paying a quick entry fee so I can see that you actually want to, but it's still up to you. I will guide you all the way through. I was talking to somebody else and goes, I might try to come up with something where I'm the coach. I really am. I'm kind of a coach kind of guy. I'm like, you've been in my rooms where I've basically run the room. I love that.
The entire time.
I love calling people out because I mean, how many times you get up on there on those hot seats and you're like, should I or should I not hire an acquisitions person? I'm like, dude, I don't know your freaking numbers. Does your numbers tell that you can hire a person or can pull the fucking trigger?
Yeah. Let's move on. Next question.
And that's probably the biggest thing that we've done is Jada and I, we pull the trigger, pull the trigger, don't sit there. I used to use this analogy all the time where we're driving the bus. We might slow down, but we're never going to stop to pick you up.
Nope. You're going to have to hop on. Love that.
And not to get into it, but it was perfect. Luke was the perfect timing to bring in a COO because he's the one that kind of slowed the bus down. Now we're back up to speed in the bus back up because he put the systems and operations behind it. Everything that Jaden and I did. That's
so boring. I hate that stuff.
Yeah, right. Me too. Let's keep talking about our other stuff.
Oh, that's
That's
so
what
hard.
What's that?
Yeah. I said that stuff's the hard stuff. We just hire somebody to do all that stuff. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So I try to get people excited. I don't want to be Tony Robbins and you're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you.
Yeah.
But I also want to call people out. I want to be real with them.
Yeah.
I've talked to some of these guys and I've seen some of these TikToks. You almost have to be a little fake just to grab people.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out how do I make sure that I don't do that, because I don't want to be fake.
Hormozy's about the best that I've seen it not being fake, because he's just like, do you follow him?
No, I don't.
Alex Hormozy. If you get a chance, go look up his stuff. But he is fantastic at just being super raw with everything that he's saying, and you can tell this guy knows his shit because he just says it and he does it, and he's so he's able to articulate exactly what he's thinking about because he's done it a million times, which is something that you've done. You've done it literally 1,000 times. So he's super authentic. So if you're looking for like somebody to model what you're going after, kind of that vibe, it probably along the lines of him. You can cuss a lot more than him too, because he doesn't cuss. So that's more authentic.
Right. Yeah. I want to make sure that I come off authentic. I also, people are like, I kept telling myself I need to go maybe, get better at speaking. And everyone goes, no, don't, because then you lose your authenticity of who you are.
I agree.
And, Jaden says that. Everybody tells me that. It's like, James, you're just James.
Yep.
You're not trying to be anybody. You're just showing up and I am who I am. I mean, I really.
Well, and that's why we respect your opinion so much in these rooms that we're in. It's because you're just raw. You're not worried about which James you're going to get. You get James. There's no this James or that James. It's just James. And you're in the room going, ah, shit. All right, I'm going to listen up, because he knows what the hell he's talking about, because he's been there. He's done that. And I think if you're trying to build any sort of a brand, just 100% be you. Don't try to be something different in front of the camera. I remember when I first started doing videos, it's so uncomfortable and cringy to go back and watch those now, because I'm like, what the hell was I trying to do, acting like something I completely wasn't in front of the camera?
Right.
It's so hard though, like to get that authenticity, but people love that. That's what people get behind.
Yeah, and that's what I'm finding out even more. Just don't do anything different. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just keep being me, and that's what I keep trying to do, and I'm happy with it. I really am.
And that was really one of the reasons why I started this podcast, was so that I could be authentic on camera, because I kind of fell off of that for a long time of how do I be authentic, and these conversations help you be authentic 100%.
Jaden goes, James, you're the only guy that can insult somebody and still get the deal at the end of the day, because it comes off as real.
I love it.
Right. And he goes, he'll go to calls with me in the beginning. He'll sit there and try to study me. It's like, what is he doing different?
You can't replicate it.
And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. That's different.
The thoughts that come through my head, I just say them out loud.
That's a problem with me, though. That can definitely be a problem.
Yeah.
As I get older, I realize who cares anymore. But
no one gives a shit.
Adolescent, I would speak up and.
Yeah, that's wild. All right. Well, let's shift gears here for a second. I'm going to be completely transparent in my self-interest here. When I saw that you'd been married for 25 years, so I recently got engaged, and man, I'm working through the challenge of that whole balancing act with the whole work and the family. My family is my fiance and 2 dogs. I don't have kids or anything. Right. But 25 years of marriage is a long time. I really haven't figured out how to shut off like the go mentality that kind of comes with running a business, right? And maybe I'm afraid of missing out on opportunities, or the thought that someone else is working while I'm not. That drives me crazy. But how do you manage that? And is there any advice that you'd give to me and others that are kind of struggling with this? If I'm a business owner, I just got to go.
If mama ain't happy, nobody's happy, right?
I love it.
I hate to say that that way, but it's totally true. You still have to understand who number one. When you have kids, you still come home first, and the first person you go to is your wife, not your kids.
Okay.
And my daughter's friends would always go, she's 22. We just married her off in October.
Congratulations.
We were the family that she came in and we were dancing in the kitchen. My wife's like, my daughter's friends would go, what the hell's wrong with your parents? Their parents are probably bickering and mad at each other all the time. And come home and I'm dancing in the kitchen.
That's awesome.
With my bride. One of the best things that I can never tell you, and I love this story, and this is weird that you brought it up, not me, but about a year into our marriage, I asked her grandfather, I go, Mr. Horn, what's the secret of a long marriage? He looks me right in the eye and he goes, honesty. Honesty is the secret of a long marriage. I go, yeah. He goes, yep. Every morning I wake up and I walk out that door and she goes, Ed, where are you going? I look her right in the eye and I go, I don't know, woman, but I'll be more than happy to tell you where I've been when I get back. Honesty. And you think about that, Ben.
Yeah.
He's 100% right.
He is.
He is 100% right. It's just, I'll tell you where I've been when I get back, but right now I really don't know.
I'm just going. I got somewhere that I know that I need to be, and that's not here. That's
right.
Awesome.
And then the last one really quick is remember why you guys got married. You don't wake up every morning and try to piss her off. She doesn't wake up every morning and try to piss you off. Okay. Just, did you leave your towel on the floor? Did you leave your shoes by the door and you were supposed to put them in the closet? Just pick them up and put them in, or you don't say anything about little stuff like that. That is not, again, you didn't do that on purpose, did you?
No.
Right.
No.
So that's what she has to discover. And that's what my wife and I both discovered. He didn't do this on purpose. She didn't do this on purpose, because it's not a normal, hey, do you think you might be able to take care of your shoes next time? Oh, yeah, no problem. People just get pissed off. You never do what I tell you to do. Just realize we're not trying to piss the other. Pick your battles, but realize we're not trying to piss people off.
Gotcha. So do the exact opposite of what my dad used to do when he would take my shoes, if I would leave them out and throw them down to the basement, and I would always be looking around. Where the hell are my shoes? He goes, where'd you leave them last? Well, on the stairs. He goes, you walked over them 4 times. I threw them in the basement. So I would constantly walking down to the basement to pick up my freaking shoes.
Right?
Kevin thought it was funny, but yeah, man, that makes a lot of sense because I've just been going through that. Like we took grind out of our vocabulary with the business because we don't want to say grind anymore. It like goes against the whole idea of flowing with what life kind of throws at you. So we switched that word grind to gyrate. So now we gyrate through life.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So that's been one of those things where I've just been like head down, focused. I'll look up. It's 6:45, 7:30, whatever time it is. I'm like, oh shoot! I literally left the house at 4:30 this morning, and I haven't seen my fiance all day long. I'm gonna go home. I'm so exhausted. I'm gonna be in bed by 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Ben, the other thing is you still got to put time in there too, right? I mean, you still have to consciously put time in and go, hey, we have to have date night. No, I'm assuming your wife or fiance doesn't work in the business.
She does not work in the business now.
So she doesn't have anything. So it's a little bit easier where Jen and I can go. After this, we're going to the meat raffle.
The meat raffle. The heck is a meat raffle?
You put $1 down, you take a little, there's like 30 numbers, and you pull a number, and then they got the little spin thing, and they spin it, and then it falls on 10. Who's got 10? Oh, I got 10. And you walk up, and there's all this meat that's on the table, and you go, oh, I want the 2 steaks. And you put the steaks out, and you put them on there. So it only really costs you $1, right?
That's awesome.
So it's a reason to go to the bar. You have a couple cocktails. It's $1 every round. You might not play every single round. Yeah. And I don't know, sometimes every now and then we win. We come back with, something different but it's called the meat raffle.
So what you're saying is the secret to a long, healthy, happy marriage is
meat raffle.
Start a meat raffle in Kansas City. All right. I'm on it.
Hey, we got to think of crazy stuff to do, man, when it's so cold outside and it's snowing or whatever. So
I hear you.
Meat raffle, whatever.
Yeah, the meat's not going to go bad. It's so cold there. It's so cold there. It's already refrigerated.
You just go put it out in your truck. It's not a big deal.
I love it.
That's awesome.
This is a blast, man. I love having you on.
Yeah, no, I love this. I love telling people my experiences. Yeah. Everything that I tell Ben is from experience. I could not all of a sudden be 20 years old and even go 2 to 3, years of doing it and then have as many stories. I'm 48 years old.
Yeah.
These stories, they start continuing to pop in there, and they just become great stories. And I like to share them with people. They're great stories.
I'm sure everybody who's listening to this is going to love hearing these stories, especially one of your grandfather-in-law. That was awesome. I'm going to use that.
Yep.
So looking ahead, man, you're working on building out this home guys business across the country, and you're working on the coaching and the mentoring,
mentoring.
Yeah. Are those the big projects you're working on? Anything else you're excited about moving into 2024?
2024 is all about the licensing and doing more podcasts. I don't get it. As much as I loved getting in people, I was so afraid to do podcasts. I was so afraid to get up and talk in front of people. Now I'm starting to realize that I get energized by talking to people. I get energy at the end of the time. I get energy being on stage. I have a story that I shared for the very first time back in Vegas back in November. And I actually got up there. Don Costa, you ever heard of him?
Yeah.
He's so I went to one of his mastermind groups. Okay. And he got me up in front and it's like, tell your story. Here's your time. And it's about Iraq. And we can either do it some other time, but it's a great story. I had a rocket come in and basically it missed me and killed a soldier. And we did our best to try to save the guy and weren't able to. And so I got a tattoo on the guy's name, and we're coming up on January. I get a little choked up on this sometimes. So on the 31st is the anniversary. And last year we were in Scottsdale, and I had to go take off. I couldn't hang out with the guys because that's my day to mourn for him. Yeah, it sucked. He just got back from his R&R, saw his baby boy for the very first time, and
man,
that was it. So I've seen shit that some people haven't seen. Been through a lot of different things, but I'm getting better at it. And my goal is to tell that story like way more in depth, and just come out of it, just inspirational to telling people you do stuff that you have to do to move ahead and survive, if that makes sense.
It does. It's a great reminder, man. I mean,
it's just, everybody asks, why did you go to Afghanistan? Why did you go to Iraq? Because I was going to lose everything if I didn't. I was going to lose my house, my marriage, everything. And that's really why I did. You sacrifice stuff. Ben, I'm a huge fan of, you have to hit rock bottom before you know where the top is. You got to know where the bottom is before you get to the top.
I like that.
And 2010, I borrowed $1,000 from my sister. We were about to get divorced. Everything was just downhill. And I went back to Afghanistan and made really good money and ended up staying out there for 2 years.
Wow.
Came back and my marriage has been better ever since. It's just, it's, I feel like I'm a better person. Did I see shit that I don't recommend everybody else seeing? I saw that in the fire industry too.
Sure.
But you got to have a different mindset when you're a firefighter or, first responder or whatever. You just have to go, somebody has to do it. And you just happen to be the guy that's there to do it.
Yep. And you were put there to do it. So
right.
You got to go after it. Right. That's the whole thing of the embrace the suck, that like, reading through everything that you sent me, and reading through or just knowing the things, the little bit that I know about your life from Investor Fuel, you just seem like that guy that's like, embrace the suck. All right, this is gonna be fun for me. Let's go get it.
Right. I mean, who wants to live in a desert with 7 other guys in a tent? We're all on protein shakes. That sucks. That's the worst ever.
I can smell it right now.
Because, there's nothing better to do. Believe it or not, I was Mr. Fit back then, Hey, you're laughing. Quit laughing.
No, you make the joke. I can laugh with you.
Oh, yeah, right.
We're laughing together.
Yes. So, I did what I had to do for my family. I always tell people there's 2 things you never screw with: family and my money. Yeah.
I like it.
And my the other thing is if you're in my circle, you're my family, because I don't have a very big family, and that means a lot to me. Is loyalty. Loyalty is huge to me, big time.
Man, that's you're what the people that get into this business for the right reasons. You're what people want to be. Like, just hearing the story, I'm like, God, I hope that I can build something with everything that we're doing that's as genuine as what you're doing. So thank you again for telling all these stories. And
Yeah.
we like to end with some rapid fire questions. These questions kind of just help people get more of an understanding of you. And even though we do have a really good understanding from all these stories that you've told us, like we want to know some different things about you and like who you look up to and the creative processes that go through your head. So we're gonna do 3 real quick, and then we'll wrap her up. So if you could have one business related superpower, like instant market predictability or unbeatable negotiation skills, what would that be?
Ask the question one more time.
If you had one business related superpower, like you had one superpower where you just had it, you didn't.
The only reason I laugh at that is because that's what my wife says my superpower is already dealing with building a relationship with people.
Well, perfect. There you go.
That I always say it's not always about you know this. It's not about the money. It's about the relationship and making sure you can finish the job at the end of the from start to finish.
I love it. Yeah, right? That's perfect. So yep, absolutely.
That's where I would be.
Cool. All right, number 2. If you had to swap lives with any historical figure and run their business, who would it be? It's
funny that you say historical figure, but I'm a huge Abraham Lincoln guy.
Yeah.
You ever read his? He's got an inspirational poster out there. You know, it says ran for governor, failed, ran for Congress, failed, ran for Congress, failed, had a major meltdown, failed. His wife died, his kid died, blah, blah, blah. And at the very end, President of the United States.
I love that. I love that.
That's where I perseverance.
Yeah. See, these are things we get to know about people doing these little rapid fire questions. Big Abraham Lincoln fan. I love it.
Yep.
All right. Last one. You have unlimited funding. You don't necessarily need to make money, but if you can, or you can make money if you want, but if you could start a completely different business tomorrow, whatever you wanted to do, what would it be?
Whatever I would want to do.
It's really a question about like what's something you're passionate about that you just love doing.
I like to give back to the people that are unfortunate. And my parents got divorced when I was younger, and I lived on Section 8.
Really?
I told myself I would never live on Section 8.
Wow.
That's the reason that follows back to the reason why I ended up going to Afghanistan and Iraq, because I was not going to let my family. I'd rather go and put myself in danger and support my family than to jump into that scene again.
Wow.
So I don't know if that tells you what, who I am right there.
That's huge, man. Wow.
But everyone's like, why would you do this? Do you think I wanted to go to Afghanistan?
No.
Do you think all of a sudden, like, what's the worst place I could possibly go to make a bunch of money, support my family? No, I have this skill. I'm a firefighter,
Yep.
I'm like, all right.
So we got to do.
You do what you got to do for your family.
Well, and that's probably why you do a lot of the things that you do with turning on people's heat, turning on their air conditioning in the summer. Like it probably goes back to a lot of those roots, I bet.
Absolutely. It's kind of like doing the right thing. So what I would like to do is give back. People that maybe don't have that opportunity to, everybody thinks, I'm trying to make sure I say the right thing here. I want to give back to people that think they don't have what it takes. Because I'll tell you honestly, I knew I was always going to do something. I did not think this is what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And it's God. God has a plan for me. And, again, I'm doing the right thing. Do the right thing, money will follow. So I think I would really want to help out. It's not just inner city. It's just people that don't have that structure.
That never grew up with the structure. Yeah.
Because that's what I believe it's all about. It's about, being a role model for somebody else.
For sure.
And at any point in time, I try to do that. I see a young man that, you can see that he's trying. I go over and beyond. Like I get wholesalers that call me every once in a while because I do listings, right?
Okay.
And I know that they're wholesalers.
Yeah.
By what they're saying. So I don't totally screw with them. I just kind of come out. I'm like, hey, I know you're a wholesaler. Here's what we do. We're one of the top ones in Minnesota. I go, let me help you out. First of all, don't say this. Don't do this. And I just start building them up. Because the reason why I'm telling you this, Mr. Caller, Mr. Wholesaler, is because you have the balls, the gonads, whatever you want to call it, to physically call me. And that's where people are missing. They don't do that. Awesome. They just don't go out and do something. So I want to give you the time and day because you are actually trying something.
You took action.
You took action. And I'm trying to give you that to push you on to the next level.
That's
I go,
so
but
cool.
It's all you, man. I go, I can coach you a little bit, but it's still all you. I had somebody reach out and send me a video yesterday. And he, out of the blue, didn't even ask for anything. He goes, hey, James, I just want to thank you for your mentoring over this last year. We did a couple deals with the home guys. You really changed my life. And I was like, I was blown away. I'm like, that is so awesome. Now, I didn't charge anything for that.
Yeah.
But that was the very beginning of the stage. I'm like, I think I have something here. You know, man, I want to start hearing these success stories.
Yeah.
Because that's what I like. I like hearing the success story. Ben, it's not about the money for me, man. I've seen so much stuff out there. Yeah. I just want to live life. I want to live life. I want to go do what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I don't have to have millions and millions of dollars. I don't. I got a nice place here, you know, but it's simple. It's still simple. It's very, very simple.
Man, you're going to make me answer these phone calls now from all these wholesalers that I get. Instead of just hanging the phone up, I'm going to have to sit here and talk to them. God, that's what I'm going to do now.
But what it does, though, it builds those relationships. Like I had somebody,
you're right.
Somebody just called me, and they, I just happened to mention a few things on Facebook. I have hardly done any kind of advertising, and people just keep coming to me.
Really?
And I have not. So I'm excited about this podcast because I want to push this out a little bit. Yeah. I want to advertise it for you because I've done a podcast with a couple other, well, really just one, Mike. Well, actually two. That was a long time ago. But I got that Knoxville because I did a podcast with Mike.
Really?
And that's how they found out. You know what it is? Guy was a firefighter. He read that I was a firefighter, did 150 to 200 deals a year. He's a firefighter in Knoxville. He got my number and called me.
That's fantastic.
Come to find out, he never even listened to the freaking podcast.
he read the show notes.
That's all he did. And I'm like,
we'll make sure to put firefighter in bold on the show notes.
Right. I mean, that's exactly, you know, it brings something, it brings something out. It brings something different. Like Jada and I were talking about, do we do a book? Do we do a book together? Because if you put our brains together, we're the same, but yet we're on different spectrums.
Well, yeah, you get the specialty of him and the specialty of you, but you're all working towards the same goal.
Right. Where I'm more type A, he's more, I always called him, he's the wizard behind the curtain. I've always said that he's the wizard behind the curtain, and I'll call myself the puppet, whatever, because I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
So I always like to say that he's the Dick Cheney, I'm George Bush. I'll be George, whatever.
There you go. Be whatever you want to be. You can be whichever Bush you want done.
Right. Exactly.
That's so cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you taking the time today. For everybody out there listening, you're going to provide so much value through all these stories, through all of your experience and all of your knowledge. So I couldn't be more grateful for having you on today. So thank you for that.
I'm grateful just being here. I really do. I really appreciate you, reaching out to me, and hope everything goes well on your podcast. And how far are you in now? How many have you done?
This is actually episode 3 that we're recording right now. So we're going to start pushing them out in February, but this is episode 3, and we've got a dozen others that are scheduled to record. So
good for you.
Yeah. You'll be in the first couple that come out.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, yeah. I'm excited about that. That's just excited for you to see where that takes you. I don't know. I don't know if you want to record or not anymore, but
clip whatever out.
Yeah, you can run it. I have time if you had time.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that? Oh, we thought about starting a podcast, and then we're like, well, wait a minute. Why don't we just start going on everybody else's?
Yeah.
And you can start. You can build brand awareness that way too. Man, who knows? We might do a podcast too later on.
It's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. Like I had this whole thing planned out, and good Lord, like it's so much work. So James, thanks again for being here, man. Really, really appreciate all the time that you've spent with us today. Hopefully we get more conversations in the future. Obviously, I'll see you at Investor Fuel. And for everybody out there, thanks for stopping by. We are going to end that for today, and we'll see you on the next show.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it.